If you will consent to burden your soul with a vow that you should never make and a knowledge you should never dream about, I will promise you in return...
You will promise me in return...
I will promise you a very entertaining evening.
Your offer is far too idiotic to be declined. Permit me here and now to promise as a good comrade and a fellow artist that I will not report any of this, whatever it is, to the police.
They're all super easygoing. They're wonderful. It's always fun when we're doing it. Yeah, that's about all I can think of.
It's a push and pull dynamic almost of power pop as a genre, you know?
Yeah, and dynamic. That's the word I was looking for. There you go.
It's still blowing my mind, man.
Hey, trolling.
Welcome to Abandoned Albums, the documentary podcast. Each week, your intrepid hosts, Keith R. Higgins and Jeff Calhoun, talk to artists about albums that may have been overlooked or forgotten. Keith and Jeff dig deep into the record crates to unearth the albums you may not even know existed. They also shine a light on and chat with up-and-coming artists whose work we here at Thunderlove Studio have on repeat.
Since we're all strangers to each other, let's get acquainted with a drink, shall we?
Got me on this one. 10 points to Higgendor here on the find.
Good music is good music, man, and it's everywhere, and sometimes it just whacks you across the face.
I feel like this is the first episode where I'm truly speechless, where I'm so gobsmacked by the context and the story, and like I really was at a loss for words at a couple of the revelations.
I think this would be a great place for the Mormon Tabernacle Choir to come in with Hallelujah.
Jeff, speechless? How can this be? What a blessing. From the setup of what you expect the band to sound like based on the name, to some of the revelations about the recording process, to him sharing details about the band members, the whole thing is brain smashing.
Justin couldn't have been nicer.
I keep trying to compare it to other things. I think I just need to stop and let it be its own thing.
Yeah.
But it's very clear the love that he has for the genre.
Absolutely. I don't know, man. This is power pop in its purest form as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And great songs. I mean, I think you can make good power pop without great songs, but when the songs are great, it takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Doom and Gloom is the feel-good hit of the summer.
Absolutely. Which is ironic given its title.
Right? No, it's pretty close to perfect. I used to say when I was a radio DJ, I was really big on new music discovery, and I would say to the listeners, the mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. And that is kind of a theme for this episode. Like, if you open your mind to this and let this into your heart, I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those bands that you sprinkle into every playlist that you make. For every friend, lover, family member, whoever you're making playlists for, this is one that's going to find its way into almost all of them just because it's so good. And I don't mean good quality, I mean good hearted. It's really got a clean soul to it, and it's so easy to listen to. It's sunshiny. So pull the ripcord.
Let's do it. This is our conversation with Justin Kline of
Dungeon of Skeletons.
Hey, Justin. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys. This is super cool. I'm excited.
We are too.
We are very excited too. Give you a little background on what happened.
Uh-oh.
No, it's fantastic and all the best reasons.
Awesome.
Dig, if you will, a picture. But we're not engaged in a kiss. But what is happening is I'm in a cabana in Punta Cana, the Dominican Republic, with my lady friend.
Obviously struggling.
Yes.
We start the morning off with some mimosas, and then we flow into some vodka and sodas throughout the day. So we were pretty well primed. And I don't know what led this. I was on my phone dicking around, and I ran across your logo. And I don't know if you saw our logo. It's a skull. So
yeah, that's right. Kind of similar.
I'm tattooed in skulls. I love skulls, the imagery of them. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Dungeon of Skeletons. All right, I'm on board. Let me look. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, before I went to Spotify, I thought it was going to be some heavy metal dreck stuff that I just don't think I'd really dig.
Absolutely.
Lo and behold, that was not the case. And my ears immediately perked up. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then I put it on the speaker, and my lady friend was like, this is amazing. Who is this? I think after one run through, I reached out to you via Instagram. I'm like, we got to get you guys on. So,
man, that's so cool. Thank you so much. Glad you guys like it. The band name is kind of a funny thing. It's like started out mostly as a joke because, been in bands throughout the years where like we start to just take it a little too seriously, and then sometimes that can suck the fun out of things. So naming it something like this kept it playful, at least for me. You know what I mean? Just kind of reminding me not to take everything so seriously and just have fun with it. And, we've had people say things like, that sounds like a death metal band, and then other people will say, dude, that's the coolest band name ever, which is kind of funny. I kind of like the polar opposite thing, instead of just like right in the middle.
Yeah.
And doing power pop, I guess we could have just called it one of those, the somethings or the something tones, and that's cool too. But I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to keep it weird. And
who's in the band? Is it just you?
It's actually me and my 4 kids. Get out! I swear. Yeah.
Come on now and meet everybody and hear us singing. There's nothing better than being together when we're singing.
I would have bet my house payment on siblings, so I'm going to lean into this. We need to know more.
Yeah, totally. So I have 4 kids, and right now their ages 17 through 22. And so let's see. Even when they're a young age, I tried to show them music and showing them little simple melodies on the piano and, do this little thing and then play this shaker, just simple percussion stuff. And right away, they loved it. Music is in our blood, so it was going to happen either way. But at the beginning of, before the pandemic, I had a fun idea. I was like, hey, let's just record a song just for fun. Let's just do it and make it super cool and simple and try to make it as catchy as we can. So we tracked a song called Valencia. Here we go.
Hey Valencia, I heard you broke your wrist. When Olivia pushed you, she could not resist. You're a mystery, you bloomed and disappeared. Oh love, I need you here. Hey Valencia, I heard you broke your wrist. When Olivia pushed you, she could not resist. You're a mystery, you bloomed and disappeared. Oh love, I need you here. Valencia, we love you. Our days are dark when you're not around. Valencia, we love you. Valencia, please hang around. Hey Valencia, I heard you broke your brain.
I'm a big fan of Super Drag and Leaves of Memory and stuff like that. So I got in contact with a guy who could mix and master it. And we tracked the whole thing at home, got the kids to play everything, and then sent it over to him, and he turned it around to us, and it sounded like $1 million. And I was like, what in the world? This is actually really cool. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to sound that good, So we all got excited, and then I'm just like super crazy about doing music constantly. So I'm like, let's do a whole album. It'll be so fun. And the kids were like, yeah. So long story short, so I play guitar and I sing, and I'm the main songwriter guy. My son, Connor, plays drums. Tyler plays bass. And my daughters, Audrey and Emma, they do vocals and hand claps and stuff. So
Bravo.
Okay. Hang on. Okay.
I know it's weird and fun and crazy. I don't know.
It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, so Keith hits me up, and this is like for he and I, as people that just cannot ever get enough new good music. There's constantly searching. He and I love to be able to bazinga one another, be like, I knew you would love that.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah.
When he sent me your band, he didn't say anything. He didn't tee it up. He's just like, here's who we're going to talk to.
Yeah.
And just like left, like it pulled the pin in the grenade, just left it in my lap.
There you go.
So knowing that I am a huge power pop fan, and this has been a topic on the podcast for a couple of episodes. So I feel like we're starting to develop a level of expertise that maybe is above casual listener here.
Sure. Yeah.
And so when I heard your record, I'm hearing Red Cross, I'm hearing Fountains of Wayne, I'm hearing New Pornographers, I'm like this artist would appear to me, just from your music, to be a connoisseur of the genre.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked it as a kid, even before I knew what it was. Like I ended up discovering even what that was called. Like later on, I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Grew up listening to cassette tapes of Beach Boys, and to me, they're probably my biggest influence. Just learning all about the harmonies and the melody. The melody is just such a big deal to me. And then, of course, like in the 90s, started getting into like the 90s power pop stuff, like Fountains of Wayne and Super Drag and Weezer and stuff. And I love all of that. And it really is just such a great genre. My daughter, just a couple days ago, she was like, that really is the best genre, isn't it? Wow. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. I mean, of course, it's subjective, but I just love it. It's the melody. That's the biggest thing for me. And even when I hear something that's not as power pop, I'm just a sucker for a hook, man. Even if it's a dumb lyric or something, I just can't help it.
I'm going to step away for 1 second because
Yeah.
I want to show you guys.
Oh dear, he's got props.
We've spoken to some power pop artists. We had Jeff Murphy on a while ago, Mo Troper, and a big friend of the pod is S.W. Loudon, who wrote this book called Go All the Way, A Literary Appreciation of Power Pop.
Sweet.
It's fantastic, and I want to read for you a quote. I wasn't prepared to go down this road.
Because he knew he could edit it out later in post.
Pulitzer Prize-winning author and power pop fan, Michael Chabon provides a very astute definition of power pop. In his essay, True Magic, found in the book Go All the Way, A Literary Appreciation of Power Pop, edited by Paul Myers and S.W. Loudon, Chabon wrote, "True power pop is rueful and celebratory at the same time, glorifying desire and frustration, which is why so many power pop songs concern themselves with the subject of tonight, or tomorrow night, or Saturday night, or some other night that will only be perfect for as long as it can be deferred." Put more succinctly, quote, "Power pop at its purest is the music of hit records that miss," unquote.
I thought that was probably one of the best definitions I've heard.
Yeah, that is very cool. And that's what's interesting about it is like power pop can kind of mean, you know, it kind of has like a structure, but at the same time, it can be a little bit different for everyone. And to me, you know, it's the hooks, the harmony and the melodies. But yeah, then also there's like an urgency too, to some of the energy behind the music. Yeah, it's a real funny thing to me. And I just love it.
Can we do a speed round of the first power pop song each of us remember really liking? I'll go first, and I'll date myself. It's The Knack, My Sharona.
Great song.
I was familiar with the Beatles. I was familiar with, the Beach Boys, but for some reason, and I didn't know it was power pop at the time. That would come much later. But I'm like, this is such a great song.
Mine would probably be, oh man. I mean, this was when I was a young teenager, but like Super Drag's Sucked Out. But I mean, but then some of the Beach Boys like influence power pop so much. I don't know if a lot of people consider that power pop, but to me, it's a big deal to me. But you know, when I was a kid, I was listening to that. I guess I'd say Super Drag.
I'll give you two, Keith, because I've already given you one on a previous episode, and I feel like I'm double dipping if I say the Cars self-titled record, just from the opening track all the way through. But that was me as a kid, like before I had a more refined ear for that type of thing. So later, I think one of the things that I came back around to that maybe bent power pop away from Matthew Sweet and what Teenage Fan Club was doing was the Queers record Don't Back Down, where it was 2 scoops of the Ramones, 3 scoops of the Beach Boys, and 1 scoop Screeching Weasel put in the blender, and oh my God.
Oh, that's so good. Dude, yeah, there's we live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
The Murph
or the borough. Yeah, and there is like this house venue that has like these gross punk shows, you know, and the Queers just came. Whoa. They just came and played, and I didn't go. I kind of wanted to, but I don't know, didn't work out.
That record is one of the best pop records, and to me, when we talk power pop, you can't have a conversation about power pop without talking about that album.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So let's get back to your record, because honestly, I am a sucker for male-female vocals that work well together. So, you know, I went out to Bandcamp and I saw everybody, all the performers share a last name, and I'm like, oh, of course it sounds terrific. This is a guy and his sister singing. So to find out that these are your children is like, it makes even more sense. Like, I'll double down on it. Like, of course you're dipping your pen in that Brian Wilson family style ink.
Yeah.
Tell me about singing with your kids and the harmonies and because you're clearly, again, you're a power pop fan. So you're going into your production process with a preconceived notion of what a harmony is going to sound like.
Oh yeah, totally. Man, that's what I love about harmony is, you know, you can sing and harmonize with your friends and stuff, and it sounds great, like John and Paul, you know. But there's also that like family harmony thing, or like the sibling harmony thing, where you hear like the Everly Brothers or you hear the Wilson Brothers, and there's nothing like it. And to me, it blends so, I don't know, just magically or something. But yeah, I just love it. And yeah, so when we start working on a song, the hook is my main initial thing. Like, what's the chorus going to sound like? What's the hook going to sound like? And where will the harmony be? Is it going to be oohs and ahs, or are we going to have female vocal come in right here? And there's no real formula, but sometimes there is, I guess. But just try to go with what feels right, and it's been working out okay so far. So
I wonder if there's something to be said for, and this is just off the top of my head, if there's something about families and power pop, because when I think of power, obviously you guys, the Beach Boys, I think of Shoes. I think of, I'm wondering if there's some sort of, this is probably a larger academics discussion for somebody at Berkeley to figure out, but
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess that definitely makes sense to me. Everyone in our family seems to like it, and a bunch of my friends and family, I'm not sure. I wish I had a better answer for that.
I'm going to pull on that thread. a little, because I think Keith and I both are very, very guilty of, when we listen to new music, we're trying to find, like, you're kind of smacking your tongue going, I taste a little Teenage Fan Club. Yeah. Okay. For me, I found, like what is that? What are those notes on my palate? I picked up some Tinted Windows, and if you're not familiar with Tinted Windows, a super group formed with James Ehaw from the Smashing Pumpkins and one of the kids from Hanson,
Taylor
from Hanson, and somebody from Cheap Trick was in that band. I mean, just like a total super group.
Bunny Carlos was on drums.
And then was it Adam Schlesinger, or which one of the Fountains of Wayne guys was in that band?
It's Adam.
Right, it's Schlesinger. Okay, so this unbelievable group of musicians, but bringing it back to why I think I heard Tinted Windows is probably that Hanson family style harmony. I mean, that's where that dude's coming from, right?
That's a really good point. I think that record is great, and one of my daughters absolutely loves that album. I can't believe that didn't even have more success. It's
right. Especially that one, especially the single. Come on.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Everything that Adam touched seems like it was just gold, man. Just so good. That guy was crazy talented.
He was insanely talented, and I don't think I appreciated it until, and I don't want to name check, but when we spoke to Dominique and Andy from Ivy, and I had doing research for that, I had no idea the scope of this man's talent. And unreal. Tragic loss.
Yeah.
Let's go deeper on your record, because I've listened to it a bunch now, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. This is quite a discovery for me. So I want to read some of my notes as I was listening and preparing for the conversation tonight, and just get your reaction on some of these, because It's Gonna Be All Right is, you're talking about Adam Schlesinger from Fountains of Wayne. You could definitely hear it on It's Gonna Be All Right, but the guitar work is so tidy. And what I love about your music is that when you let the vocal take a back seat and let the guitar speak as a voice, where there is no vocal, if you're letting a guitar line sort of take front and center, the choices that you make in coloring your guitar tone are so tasteful, and the guitar really speaks as a voice in your songs really, really beautifully. And I think that this is a perfect example of that. So I really, really like, and I think that this song is as power pop as it comes. It's just clean. It's a great introduction to the band. I think if you were going to start someplace, It's Gonna Be All Right is a killer track.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that means a lot to me. I'm glad that people can hear it and pick out those things that you're pointing out. That's just very special.
Are true, judge the moves we've made. They're always there to rain on our parade. At least the dawning always shows simple yet complex. We'll never have to guess what might come next. Ooh, it's gonna be, it's gonna be alright, my love, alright, my love. It's gonna be, just wait and see.
You know, sometimes I'm not, you know, planning on doing something like that. It's just I kind of go with what feels right, you know, or sometimes I will get some sort of inspiration from something else and be like, oh man, I'm going to just rip a nasty solo right here. And it's going to be a little sloppy. But if it works, it works, you know? Yeah. And that one's got like it's gonna be all right. Like the call and response thing, which I've always been a fan of. So yeah, man, that's super cool. I'm so glad that you like the album. When we discuss music, like as a family, we're almost like music snobs, and I don't like to say it like that, but you know what I mean.
You guys are snobs.
No, we're not.
No, seriously, you're totally elitist. You feel like the unappreciated scholars, so you shit on the people who know less than you. No, which is everybody.
Yes.
And I always say that. I'm like, I'm not a snob with this stuff because it's subjective. You're allowed to like what you like. You know, there's no good or bad genre. It's just, you know, there's good music, there's bad music, and there's fun exercises where we just argue. Well, not argue, we debate. We debate like Beatles versus Beach Boys, you know, and here's why Beatles never would have happened without the Beach Boys. It's because of A, B, and C. And then our families like split down the middle where they're like, no way, Beatles all the way, you know. When we were working on this album, Patterns, I wanted to make sure that I at least felt, and we felt, that every single song was a banger. And again, it's subjective, you know, it doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 record for everyone, but we wanted to feel like it was for ourselves, you know. And a few people have said, man, it seems like every song could be maybe a single, you know, and I'm like, God, that's so flattering. And that's just so special for people to feel that way. And
the record is a banger, dare I say. When we talk about singles or everything being a single, the one, if we were to take a consensus of the people that I've introduced the record to, Doom and Gloom seems to come out straight out as like the all-out favorite.
I think that is probably the strongest song on the album.
Agreed.
Yeah, we're real proud of that one. We get a lot of good feedback, a lot of good information, or you know, people talking to us about it. And yeah, even my brother said that. He was like, man, the whole album's really good, but man, that Doom and Gloom one, that's the one. That's the one.
I think my comment to Keith was, if I were still working in radio, that would be the lead single. For sure. And I want to call out the particularly patient and well mixed sleigh bell that you can find in this song, which I always love.
That's right. Yeah, we added some sleigh bells in there. You know, we recorded the whole thing at home, and the drums were actually recorded with one microphone.
Get out of here.
One condenser mic, just hovering over the kick pedal.
Well done.
And then we did all the percussion that way, just the sleigh bells, hanging it right over the mic and just doing the ring, ring, ring. That might be the instrument that Brian Wilson was talking about on Pet Sounds, where he was like, I want it to sound like it's crying. I think that's the one. Maybe it was a tambourine, but yeah, sleigh bells. It's man, I remember a few years ago trying to buying some sleigh bells from a store, and they looked at me like I was crazy. It was like a music store. They're like, we get those in like around Christmas, but you know, we don't ever carry those.
And come to find out, there's a huge range of quality that you can buy sleigh bells in. Like you can spend some coin on real high-end sleigh bells. Which Keith's probably looking at the two of us going, "You guys are off the deep end."
Everyone's got their thing.
Sleigh bell.
Who keeps that information stored between their ears? Like, oh yeah, you can. There are luxury sleigh bells.
Oh, I bet they get super expensive. I think the ones we got were probably like $50 or $60.
World Tour 85. August 7th at Pittsburgh Civic Arena. Get your leather together.
How do you go out on the road with this one? Is it a family affair? Do you tour? Are you planning on gigging? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, if my geography is correct, Jeff, aren't you close to Nashville, Murfreesboro area?
Oh, yeah. I'm in Nashville all the time.
Cool. So right now, it's mostly just a recording project. And we kind of weren't anticipating the reaction we were going to get. And it's been really amazing with people that have been so excited about the songs and loving the album. And then what that does for me is I start talking to the rest of the band, and and I'm like, we could turn this into like a live thing. And then half of them are like, heck yeah, let's do it. We're going to make it happen. And then the others are kind of, I don't know, maybe, but and so we've been talking about doing like a full band live thing. And we're just going to have to wait and see. I hope it works out, and I hope we can do that. But if it doesn't, that's okay. And we're just going to keep making albums and stuff.
So there's definitely a sequel to this. There will be more, because this is your debut release, right? This is the start.
That's right. This is the first Dungeon of Skeletons. We're tossing around the idea of doing like a 7-inch, or we might just do album number 2. And we already have about nine-ish songs that are demoed. And it's not going to sound that different. It's going to be like, it's going to sound like this record. I think, I just don't want to sway too far from what is working, but at the same time, it's got to feel right. It's something I learned because I do my own solo power pop stuff as Justin Kline. And about, I guess it was maybe 10-ish years ago. Everything to me is 10 years ago, because I never remember. Like, I think that was like 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. Did a power pop record. A lot of people liked it, and then went through some stuff, and then made one of those miserable Elliott Smith albums, like sad folk stuff. And in my mind, I was thinking, like, people are going to like this too. They like my other stuff, but it just doesn't always work out like that. And I think sometimes fans of certain genres can feel maybe betrayed, I guess, or not just genres, but with certain musicians. Like if you come to expect a band or an artist to sound like blank, and then they don't sound like that anymore, it's kind of like, ugh, but they're not wrong, because they're doing their art, So when we started doing the Dungeon of Skeletons thing, in my mind, I was like, I want it to sound like power pop blended in with like a bunch of little sprinkles of, grunge or alternative and all the other stuff, bubblegum and,
Cool.
Album number 2 will probably sound pretty similar to Patterns.
I hope so.
Yeah, you talk about the betrayal, I guess, of fans with artists. As you were speaking, the one artist that popped into my head was Bowie.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, at the same time, consistently finger quoting, betray his fans while getting a whole swath of other ones to come on board. Really interesting.
Because he kept reinventing himself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that works.
For sure.
But it can be a gamble also, because it may not always work, And for me, it didn't, I guess. I don't know. But anyways. But
are you from Tennessee originally? Did you grow up there?
No, I'm actually from Southern Maryland, like south of DC. And about 10 years ago, no. 15 years ago-ish or something, moved to Murfreesboro.
What is it about Murfreesboro such a small town for such a hotbed of musical talent?
I don't know. I guess it's like a college town. You know, there's some youth here, a lot of talent. Yeah.
Proximity to Nashville, maybe?
Yeah, definitely that. It's like outskirts of Nashville. And like I listened to the episode you guys did with Matt from Self. It was freaking awesome. I met with him about 10 years ago now. And he's a cool guy. He's really funny and just like super nice.
I'll go ahead and Venmo you $20 for my down payment on that Matt Mahaffey produced Dungeon of Skeletons record.
You know, it's funny because when I was talking to him, it was before Dungeon of Skeletons, but I was actually talking to him about working with me doing an album. And he was kind of like, I'll do the drums, man. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. You know, and I don't know what happened. It didn't work out. It wasn't his fault at all, but he was so nice.
Yeah, very much so. He's I don't know. It was the first podcast that Jeff and I did together. It was just so delightful.
Oh, cool. He did this one YouTube video where he showed like all the behind the scenes stuff of recording at home or in his home studio. Man, it was bonkers. It's got like all this gear everywhere, and he's like a mad scientist or something.
That's a good way to describe him.
And he's so good at that. And then when I think about myself, I'm like, I'm not like a gearhead. I don't, you know, I'm still trying to figure out how to turn these knobs on stuff. And I don't know, but it's working.
Isn't it interesting though, that like one of my notes for today was like, I keep coming back around to the production quality. And so to hear that you recorded the drums on one microphone, because it is a truly clean sounding record. I mean, you hear everything. The balance between the guitars and the drums and the vocals and the harmonies are well placed and the tambourine's just right. And, you know, all of your extra percussion is seated perfectly. I mean, from a production standpoint, you nailed it, man. I can't believe you did it on your own.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Well, so yeah, we tracked it all here, kept it simple. And like I was mentioning earlier, there's a guy named Mike Purcell in Nashville, and we sent all of the recording stuff over to him, and he really was kind of like a little bit of the secret weapon, where he's just a mixing, mastering genius, and really made the album sound like $1 million to me. It just sounds, I'm so proud of it. I'm proud of his work too. He does like, it's called Monkey Riot Recordings, and he now he's making like guitar pedals and stuff, and they're really cool too. But yeah, shout out to Mike. He's amazing. And we hope to do more records with him and maybe just keep recording it here at home with one mic. I don't know.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. Yeah.
Piggybacking off of that, what Jeff just said, that's, I think, one of the first things that drew me in initially is just how good it sounded.
Wow.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
My limited understanding is that you can get good sounds fairly easily, but it takes a skilled person to manipulate the tools to make it sound as professional and well as you did. So I tip my earphones to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Towards it, you gotta run towards it, run towards it, run towards it.
And another thing funny about it is we recorded it into GarageBand.
No way.
Good Lord.
This story gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah. And I tried to upgrade to Logic, which is like GarageBand's big brother. And I tinkered with that a little bit. And I was like, this is I'm not messing with this. You know, I like the GarageBand, the simplicity. And I think a lot of it it kind of goes back to just focusing on the song first, you know, and like, cause a good song's a good song. And that's my ultimate goal. And I've seen some albums that, some like good artists will focus a little too much on just the production or the way the snare sounds or something. And then it's like, but man, you forgot to make a good song, you know, cause you care too much about this or that. So to me, like the main focus was making sure the song is good. And I feel like maybe sometimes that's also what we're hearing, you know, when we think that, man, the recording sounds good, you know, and sometimes it's the song or both. I don't know.
I agree.
You can't have a good recording without a good song.
Mm-hmm.
It always starts with the words. And what was the quote from Eddie and the Cruisers? Words and music. Words and music.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you have a specific writing process? Is there a creative process for you that you go through?
Most of the time, I think it starts with a melody. So like I'll be doing something, driving or mowing the lawn, and then I'll get just like a little tiny hook in my head. And then that's the main thing. And then I'll jot it down, I'll record like a little voice memo with an acoustic and be like, bum, 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 doo, doo, doo. Or I'll like do, I guess it's called word salad, where you just kind of like, you mumble like half fake words. Sometimes that kind of can turn into the lyric, but most of the time it doesn't. So the hook melody part comes first. And then I also come up with a simple melody for the verse. And lyrics are usually last. But it's always really great when I can say something that means something to myself or that might connect with other people. And then sometimes it's just nonsense, you know, which is okay too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because some of the songs we love are just like, man, what the heck is he even talking about? And then your friend says, man, I totally know what he's saying there. I get it.
You've captured a couple clever turns of phrase. I think if Doom and Gloom was the lead single, I would push as the follow-up single to radio, Nobody Cares, Try Again, which is just a great title and a great lyric, I think.
Where do you go when you're not needed anymore? Should you wear your welcome out and stay too long? What should you say when they won't hear you like before? Should you sing even when it feels like something's wrong? If nobody cares, try again. You know we believe in you. But you can't win them all every time. Where are you going to? It don't matter where you've been. When nobody cares, try again.
Oh man, I think that was just kind of the same concept of like not taking yourself too seriously, you know, like trying too hard and wearing out your welcome and things like that. And if kind of like the idea of needing to create value for yourself with other people. And if people don't like you or your presence, you know, no one cares. Like, try again, try harder, do something different, you know? And it maybe means different things for certain people, but then at the end it talks about love being the main thing. And so ultimately, I think that's what I was trying to say. That one kind of has some jumbled topics too. But yeah, people like that one. That was a fun one.
It's catchier than the clap at the Alpha Chi Omega house.
That's so cool, man. I'm glad you like it.
When you're recording, and you're recording with your kids, it just feels weird to say that. 'Cause it just, I don't know. I'm just running through scenarios in my head. Like, you know, if they still live at home and they pissed you off because they didn't clean the room or they didn't cut the lawn or something, then you got to record that night. Does the familial tension add anything to the creative process for you guys?
Yeah, that's a good topic, a good question. So 2 of them still live at home, and 2 of them live on their own. And sometimes it can get a little, I don't want to say weird, but, you know, because I'll be like, hey, in a couple days, let's work on that song. And they're like, yeah, okay. And then if something pops up and they're unavailable or don't want to, you know, I'll say things like, well, hey, remember, you committed to this, and we need to stay true to what we said we were going to do. And then sometimes they're like, okay, is this Dad saying this, or is this just like the other guy in the band? You know, so there's a little bit of that. I can't think of the word, but that element, or however you would say that. So sometimes it can get a little complicated, but for the most part, they're all super easygoing. They're wonderful. It's always fun when we're doing it. Yeah, that's about all I can think of.
It's a push and pull dynamic almost of power pop as a genre, you know?
Yeah. And dynamic. That's the word I was looking for. There you go.
Yeah.
It's still blowing my mind, man. So I read something online describing you and your upbringing or your interest in music, and it said Justin picked up a guitar when he was 10 and never looked back. Did you really start writing songs that young?
So I did start playing guitar when I was 10. I just turned 40. And yeah, so I've been playing guitar for 30 years. And let me think. I was probably 12 when I first started writing songs, and started out making, you know, messy punk rock with my brother and my friends, and, you know, trying to sound like Green Day and stuff like that. And did that for a little while, and just, never turned back. I've always been writing and recording and stuff. Have a lot of various bands throughout the years that have, you know, tried to make it work, didn't work, and then I'd go solo. Or
so your kids have seen you as a musician their whole lives. They've only ever known Dad as a singer-songwriter band guy.
Pretty much, yeah. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I have like the daytime gig and stuff like that, but yeah, this is the main thing that I'm passionate about, that they grew up around. And
did the notion of inviting them in to participate in making music with you, did it start with one of them, or was it always more of a group thing? Because there's got to be an entry point, right? There's got to be like, hey, why don't you come sing on this one song that I'm recording?
It was first with my daughters. I had one of them playing the drums, and this is when they were like maybe 6 or 7 or something. And then my other daughter playing the piano. And we were and I had an acoustic, and we were just making up dumb songs, you know, silly songs about a cat or something. And it was just to kind of get them in the motion of, you know, learning how to play an instrument with another person. And they saw me doing it all the time. And I think to them, it was just like, you know, that's what Dad does, and growing up with the music, and isn't this what everyone's dad does? Or, you know, so got them involved first. And then, you know, my sons who are younger, I think it was my son Connor, who wanted to play drums. He was probably one of the first that I really started playing a little more seriously with. And he's very excited about Dungeons and Skeletons, and he's like likes to spearhead a lot of the ideas. And man, honestly, he had a lot to do with the track list and everything. This song should go before this one. No, that's got to go after this one. And we focused a lot on that, and he was more responsible for that. So that's Connor, the drummer.
How many times, Jeff, have we had this conversation with guests about the importance of sequencing?
It comes up all the time.
A great record can go to shit if it's poorly sequenced.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's weird how you hear some people talking about top loading an album. They're like, put all the energy up front, and then I kind of like that, and there are some records where track 1 is just a straight banger, and then track 2 starts and it kills the momentum. And then it tries to pick it back up on track 3. And it's like, well, this track 3 rules, but you kind of killed the thing, the momentum. And so we focused a lot on that too. We didn't want it to slow down really until track 5 or 6, somewhere around there. And then we were very meticulous with how side B was going to start.
Sure.
We were the song called Daggers. We're going to have nasty feedback and it's going to go, because a lot of really cool, side B or side 2, a lot of the time that first song is a loud, ridiculous one, and that one's probably the craziest one. So,
and my favorite track on the record.
Really?
Yes. Love it. There's a really gorgeous pink vinyl that you can get that we're talking side A, side B here. Buy the album. Get yourself a copy of the wax because it really does come off the turntable beautifully.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I want to circle back real quickly to that. You said everything happens 10 years ago, and I think there's a tie-in because that's when you first picked up the guitar. So you've got that 10-year increment. It's embedded in subconscious.
I love stuff like that. Man, you might be right. Interesting parallels and things like that. That's bonkers, man.
I want to ask you about the artwork because that was initially what drew me in.
Oh, cool.
Is that something you did? Is it it's brilliant artwork.
Wow. Thank you so much. So a couple things. The album cover was, so I do design work as full-time. That's my gig, So I designed everything and obviously had everyone else, their input. And so we kind of did a group collaboration with that. The photo on the front cover is actually a bunch of weird junk we had in the house and put it all up on top of our piano. And then we took 20 something photos and then we chose the best angle and went with that. And yeah, that was super cool. And also, like you mentioned, the logo earlier, here's like a little glittery sticker. Well, people can't see this, but yeah, that skull. My daughter Emma, one of the singers in on the album, she drew that. So she's like real talented with digital art and stuff like that. So yeah, we just try to do try to be as artistic as we can and just try to have fun with it.
So that too is a family affair.
Yeah.
I love it. So at some point, I feel like one of the Kline family is going to become like the record label head, and Justin, you'll be making the music, and your daughter will be making the artwork. But just keep the whole thing in the Kline family.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. If I could do it that way, I absolutely would. I mean, you know, it's a dream for like a parent to be able to be like, hey, let's just do this all together. You know, I'm the cool dad, but you know, kids are like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but then they hear the music and they're like, oh yeah, we did that together. Like there's got to be a really interesting sense of pride that, you know, very few dads get to bathe in that glory.
Yeah, definitely. Because there were moments, I think it took us we recorded these like one song at a time, and it was over the span of maybe a year and a half, I think. And yeah, there were moments where it was like, I don't feel like doing this right now, or I don't think I can record any more of these songs. And I kept telling them, I was like, I promise, like when we're done with this, we're going to be super proud of this. And it also might not matter that much right now, but in 20 or 30 years, you will be able to look back at it and be excited and proud that we had a special moment when we were able to bond this way through music and make music that can help people, hopefully. And yeah, that thing kind of happened because when the record came out, then we got a lot of good response, and a lot of their friends too were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was like this, you know. And then they got a little boost, a little bit of you know, they're like, man, this is so cool. I feel good about myself, and we got to do more, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, that's what I've been singing. So album number 2, it's coming eventually.
And to your point about 20 or 30 years from now, that's really interesting, because I think this record sounds so good now. It will sound just as good in 20 or 30 years. I'm thinking now of like the Shivers, who recorded their work in like the late 70s. It sounds just as good today, you know, and I think it's the timelessness. I think probably initially drew me in. I'm like, this is just timeless, much like the Beach Boys, the Beatles.
That's so great. Yeah. And that is kind of what we were shooting for when it comes to the mixing element of it. We didn't want to do anything like super dated, you know. We wanted it to sound like I guess just the way it sounds, but try to avoid like cheesier things. Or
mission accomplished,
man.
I sound overly effusive about this, but it's so rare, like Jeff said earlier, that something really just whaps me across the face.
Man, that's so awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys like it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's an incredible record. I mean, and there's a lightheartedness to it that, yeah, from a family vibe, what you guys put out into the world is full of joy and fun. And man, if that's how I am remembered after I put a record out, like slam dunk. I would be stoked. So congratulations, man.
Thank you so much. Yeah. We the whole album was, I wanted it to stay super positive the whole time. And some of the kids were pushing, they're like, well, we need a little bit of you know, or even push and pull, like you're saying, you know. A little bit of like humanness or negativity, just a little taste of it, you know. And so like at the end of the album, there's the last song that Audrey sings. It's called I Tried and I Tried. And there is it's like the finger picking slower kind of thing. There's a little bit of like negativity to it, but we liked sprinkling a little bit of that in, because like at the very end, the last lyric, it says something like, I don't care anymore. And it goes, brrr. And that last note is actually every electric guitar in my house. Yeah. And it's kind of like the Beatles with Paul doing like, I think it was like 27 pianos or something, like the da at the end of Sgt. Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to do little callbacks like that.
Well done. Well done. We're just about at time. So Justin, thank you. The record's amazing. Patterns is honestly, for me, it's the best thing I've heard this year.
Wow.
So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us.
Oh man, this was a blast. This was so freaking cool. It was awesome meeting you guys, and it's really fun being able to talk through some of this stuff, and it's just an honor, man. Thank you. And the things you guys were saying is just so special. I really appreciate it.
I hope that we're the first of many, because we can't be the only ones to get this excited about this record. It's too good to not catch fire.
Man, thank you. Yeah, this is the first one I've done.
It won't be the last.
I hope not. But if it is, that's okay too, because you guys are awesome.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Higgins sets the bar pretty high.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Many thanks to Justin Kline and the entire Kline family. And in case you're wondering where Justin's wife is, rest assured this is an entire family affair. She contributed hand claps and love. Be sure to check out the show notes section for links to all of the things mentioned in the podcast. Also check out Dungeon of Skeletons' website and Bandcamp page for albums and merch.
Our theme song is Rocket Sled by Blip. Abandoned Albums was recorded at Thunder Love Studios.
Written and produced by Keith R. Higgins and Jeff Calhoun.
Engineered and mixed by Steve Beasley with the help of Mike Hunt. Edited by AJ Royce.
The songs you heard during this podcast were Doom and Gloom, Valencia, Gonna Be Alright, Run Towards It, Nobody Cares, Try Again, and finally Jeff and Keith's favorite, Daggers. These songs can all be found on Dungeon of Skeletons' album Patterns. You can stream Dungeon of Skeletons wherever you stream your favorite music.
Original music by Mike Pellegrino.
If you like what you've heard, please be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating. It really does help. Thanks for listening.
At Twitter, we are at Abandoned Albums, and on Instagram, we are at Abandon_albums.
Grazie. Bailey Leaf. Rob Janicki. Mike Pellegrino. Therina Bella. Ronnie Barnett. S.W. Loudon. Michael Janicki. Peyton Janicki. And our executive producer,
Rufus Thunderlove.
Abandoned Albums receives funding from the Vandelay Latex Group. Latex, the way it should be.
And now, until we meet again next time, I remain as always obediently yours.
Abandoned Albums is a production of Paw Print Media.